Hello, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Explore and Engage with Anam. The border crisis is getting worse. There's a humanitarian crisis at the US Mexico border, and this crisis is affecting many cities around the country. Cities that are far away from the US Mexico border are being impacted because of the crisis at the border. I've talked about New York City in previous podcast episodes, and I will probably mention that again. But let me talk about Chicago. What's happening in Illinois? Reportedly, there's a plan. The city of Chicago has a plan to house up to 400 asylum seekers. That's a pretty big number. Up to 400 asylum seekers at Wilbur Wright College. So this is a college that the city plans to use to house migrants, and not a small number of migrants, up to 400 asylum seekers. And you can imagine that residents from the area, they have a lot to express on this issue. They have some strong feelings, and many attended a recent meeting to oppose this proposal, to oppose this plan. There were hundreds of people at the meeting, and the meeting was held in the school's gymnasium, the same school where the city plans to house the migrants, the same location, in fact, where the city plans to house these asylum seekers. So there was a meeting, and hundreds attended that meeting, and I saw some video clips from that event, and people were really upset. And I can understand why these individuals are so upset. First of all, we need to have a secure border. Foreign nationals can't simply pour into the country like this. And the Biden administration has not taken the steps necessary to secure the border. And so we see this influx of migrants, and now communities across the country, they have to worry about where to house the migrants. And a place like Chicago that calls itself a sanctuary city, it seems now the city of Chicago is running out of places to house these migrants. And that's why city leaders have a plan to house up to 400 asylum seekers at Wilbur Wright College. So naturally, the residents from the area are very upset, and they're upset because a lot of these individuals the asylum seekers, they have not been vetted. They have not been through thorough background checks. And resources are stretched thin in many communities across the country. So if communities see an influx of migrants, hundreds and even thousands and tens of thousands, then limited resources will be stretched even further. And so this is a problem. And American citizens are very much concerned. And if you see some video clips from that meeting that was held at Wilbur Wright College, you will know why people were so upset. And I don't know if this plan has been finalized, if this is going to really happen, if up to 400 asylum seekers will really be brought to Wilbur Wright College. And reportedly, it's going to be a temporary shelter. So people are being told that this is not a permanent arrangement. This is not a long-term housing plan. This is just going to be a temporary arrangement. But we don't know that. There are lots of questions. Once the migrants are there at Wilbur Wright College, once they are there at the school gymnasium, then we don't know what's going to happen beyond the designated timeline. when the time is up and it's time for these asylum seekers to leave Wilbur Wright College, will they have some other housing arrangements at that time? Will they have a place to go? And if not, then what's going to happen? Will this timeline be extended to keep the asylum seekers at Wilbur Wright College for an even longer period of time? I don't know. There are many questions. I have many questions. I'm not a Chicago resident. I'm not an Illinois resident. I live in Wisconsin, but Illinois is not far. Chicago is not that far. So I have lots of questions. And as an analyst, as a public policy analyst, looking at issues, and looking at this issue in particular, I have lots of questions. This term that's being used, temporary shelter, temporary housing, and that it's not a long-term arrangement. People sometimes have a hard time believing that, because the situation that the country is in, when is this going to be fixed? The border is still not secure. This crisis is an ongoing crisis. And as I said, there's a humanitarian crisis at the southern border. And now the crisis is affecting cities across the country. So this is what's happening in Chicago. And obviously, this is not the complete picture. There are lots of other problems in the city of Chicago. But I just wanted to point out this issue pertaining to the plan to house migrants at Wilbur Wright College. Share with me your thoughts. I've already talked about New York City in previous episodes, but I'll mention again, the crisis in New York City is also an ongoing crisis. The city, which is supposedly a sanctuary city, yeah, it is a sanctuary city. That's what the liberal leaders of New York decided. They decided to make New York City a sanctuary city, but that city is now running out of places to house migrants. And as I mentioned in a previous episode, there's a housing crisis in this country in general. American citizens struggle to find housing at an affordable price. House prices have gone up. Interest rates have gone up. And so it's very challenging for even American citizens, hardworking American citizens, to find housing at a price that they can afford. Rent has also gone up. And I've talked about these before. And now the country has to deal with the challenge of finding housing for all the migrants, all the asylum seekers who are coming into the country. This is a crisis like we've never seen before. And it's an ongoing issue. When is this going to be addressed? When will the problem be solved? We don't know, because the border is still not secure. We need to secure the southern border of the United States. Border security must be the number one priority right now. But that's not happening, because the Biden administration is not taking the steps necessary to secure the border. My friends, share with me your thoughts and comments. This is an issue that I will continue to talk about because I'm paying attention to the news, and there are updates every single day, and American citizens are really upset because of what's happening. And let me tell you again, and I mentioned this before, and I'll say it again, because this part that I'm about to talk about, this needs to be emphasized and highlighted. We are a nation of immigrants. We are a welcoming country. We are a nation of immigrants. But there is a proper process. There's a proper way to do it. What's happening at the southern border of the United States, this is completely unacceptable. This is a failure of the Biden administration. They have not taken the steps necessary to secure the border, and so hardworking American citizens are stuck in this situation. And now cities across the country have to worry about where to house all the migrants who are pouring in. My friends, share with me your thoughts and comments, and I hope to be back again with a new episode of Explore and Engage with